You have finally broken free from the narcissist's control. Perhaps you have stopped feeding into their manipulative games or have begun to see through their charm and lies. You have regained your sense of self. This is the point at which the narcissist, instead of simply moving on, attempts to find new ways to regain the control he had lost. And the truth is, he has a bag full of tricks he uses to try to keep you under his influence. Control is like the narcissist's lifeline. As long as they can dominate someone's emotions, thoughts, and actions, they feel powerful and validated. However, it is precisely when they perceive that their dominance is threatened that the situation becomes truly dangerous. It is in those moments of vulnerability in your control that your behavior can cross the line into the irrational and unpredictable. They might even resort to their manipulative tactics because for them, losing control over you feels like losing a part of themselves, and they start acting in unpredictable ways. Let's unravel these manipulation strategies to gain a deeper understanding of how they operate. This way, we can anticipate their moves and break the cycle of abuse. When a narcissist perceives that he or she is losing his or her ability to manipulate or control someone, it is common for him or her to experience a series of intense and often destructive reactions. How does a narcissist react when he can't control you? The loss of control for a narcissist is like an earthquake that shakes the foundations of his fragile ego. Desperate to maintain their image of superiority, they will resort to any tactic, no matter how destructive, to reestablish their dominance. In this episode, we'll reveal 5 subtle and deceptive tricks that narcissists often employ when they realize they can no longer manipulate you like they used to. These strategies are like an emotional maze designed to confuse and disorient you. It is crucial that you stay alert, because knowing these tactics will give you a significant advantage. By understanding how these manipulators operate, you can identify their patterns and protect yourself from falling into their traps. It is not only about avoiding being manipulated for the first time, but also about preventing relapses in similar situations. We will take an in-depth look at how these individuals attempt to regain power and keep you trapped in their psychological game. But before we dive into the chaos that ensues when a narcissist loses control, it's necessary to establish a solid framework for narcissistic personality disorder. With this foundation, we will be able to better understand the motivations behind the manipulative and controlling behaviors that these individuals often exercise and the extreme reactions they experience when faced with limits or challenges to their authority. A narcissistic person suffers from a personality disorder characterized by an exaggerated feeling of superiority. They believe themselves to be special, unique, and with rights superior to others. Their need for admiration is insatiable, and they often manipulate those around them to keep their egos inflated. They lack empathy, which prevents them from understanding or caring about the feelings of others. Narcissistic individuals find themselves trapped in a self-centered world. Their self-esteem is heavily dependent on external approval and admiration, leading them to constantly seek attention from others. Narcissistic people, due to their egocentrism and lack of empathy, often have difficulty maintaining healthy relationships. Their interactions with others are characterized by manipulation, exploitation, and disregard for the feelings of others. But behind the mask of grandiosity and self-sufficiency that characterizes narcissism lies a person who struggles with a constant feeling of inferiority. The need for admiration and intolerance of criticism are defense mechanisms they use to protect an extremely vulnerable self-esteem. In reality, their self-confidence is more of a pose than a genuine conviction, and any sign of disapproval can trigger an intense emotional reaction. Narcissism is often an insurmountable obstacle to healthy relationships, as narcissistic people are so self-centered that they leave little room for the needs and emotions of others. Their extreme egocentrism makes it difficult to build relationships based on reciprocity and mutual respect. Now, to put this into context, let's summarize how narcissists manipulate. Narcissistic individuals demonstrate a remarkable indifference to the emotions and needs of others. Their primary focus is on manipulating and controlling others, employing a variety of emotional tactics that allow them to maintain the power and attention they crave. Lacking empathy, these individuals see people as mere objects to satisfy their own desires and ambitions, with no consideration for the emotional well-being of those around them. So, let's take a look at the manipulative tactics that characterize narcissistic individuals. Gaslighting. Gaslighting is a perverse form of psychological manipulation that seeks to undermine your self-confidence, leading you to question your own reality. Narcissists, experts in control, employ this tactic to keep you submissive and dependent. When you are a victim of gaslighting, you may experience deep confusion and disorientation. Narcissists, with their heightened egocentrism, take advantage of your vulnerability to sow doubt in your mind and manipulate your emotions. Gaslighting involves denying facts, distorting the truth, and blaming you for situations that are not your responsibility. Narcissists use this technique to control the narrative and make you believe you are wrong, even when you are right. Love bombing and ghosting. Narcissists are masters of emotional manipulation. One of their most common tactics involves a cycle of extremes. On the one hand, they shower their victims with exaggerated displays of affection and attention, which is known as love bombing. This intense initial courtship is intended to gain the other person's trust and dependence. However, this idealized phase is often short-lived. Abruptly and without explanation, narcissists can disappear completely, practicing ghosting. This sudden disconnection leaves their victims disoriented and yearning to regain the initial connection, making them more vulnerable to future manipulation. Although a narcissist may eventually respond to texts or calls, their emotional connection will be shallow and distant. This could lead to the victim feeling emotionally insecure and dependent on the narcissist to make them feel better. By keeping you in a state of uncertainty, the narcissist ensures that you continue to seek their approval and validation, thus reinforcing their control over you. Playing the victim. Narcissists live in a distorted reality where they are always the innocent protagonists. They can't accept harsh reality, and their behavior can be unpredictable. Being the center of their own universe, narcissists tend to project themselves as victims when their partners are free from their abuse. Unable to acknowledge their mistakes or feel remorse, they construct a narrative in which they are the true victims, regardless of the consequences of their actions. When exposed and deprived of the attention they feel they deserve, they project an image of victimhood, blaming their partners for their own abusive behavior. This tactic allows them to keep their fragile self-esteem intact and avoid taking any responsibility. As a defense mechanism, narcissists project their own faults onto others, blaming them for their problems. This dynamic allows them to maintain an idealized image of themselves and avoid any feelings of guilt or shame. Even if the victim tries to expose one of his harmful actions, he quickly reverses the roles. Instead of taking responsibility, he diverts attention to the victim, criticizing his every move and action. This tactic not only allows the victim to evade blame, but also erodes the victim's self-esteem, making them doubt their own perception of reality. Projection narcissists, characterized by inflated self-esteem and a deep need for admiration, often employ a psychological defense mechanism known as projection. This mechanism allows them to evade responsibility for their own negative feelings, such as envy, anger, or insecurity, by attributing them to those around them. Narcissists construct an idealized image of themselves, a facade that hides their vulnerabilities. They firmly believe in their own perfection, an illusion that allows them to maintain an inflated self-esteem. However, this fragile construction falters when faced with evidence that contradicts their self-perception. When confronted with their defects, they experience deep anguish, as this experience directly threatens the grandiose image they have cultivated of themselves. A common feature in these situations is the projection of their own negative feelings onto others. Instead of acknowledging and addressing their jealousy, for example, they accuse others of feeling the same way. This perverse dynamic creates an environment of distrust and hostility where any innocent action can be interpreted as a personal attack. It's as if they see the world through a distorted mirror, reflecting their own insecurities onto others. Lie narcissists are experts at distorting reality. They often weave intricate webs of lies to project a flawless image of themselves and blame others for their own mistakes or failures. Thus, they become the innocent victims and others the antagonists of their narrative. In their relationships, narcissists often reverse roles. They are the saints and everyone else is the sinners. Through elaborate lies and unfounded accusations, they seek to discredit those who challenge them or make them feel vulnerable. In this way, they perpetuate a cycle of manipulation and control. They weave elaborate webs of lies, so convincing and emotional that it is almost impossible not to believe them. Their stories, though false, are so emotional and detailed that they manage to capture the attention and hearts of those who listen to them, leaving them trapped in a web of compassion. Now let's dive into what happens when a narcissist finds that he is losing control. So join me until the end. We will seek the answers to a burning question that could save us from narcissistic abuse. How does a narcissist react when he can't control you? You can be sure that a narcissist will not sit back and do nothing. When you take control away from a narcissist, he will not even let go and will want to continue victimizing you. Initially, rather than accepting this situation, they are likely to intensify their efforts to regain control. Losing control over a victim is, for a narcissist, like losing a puppet he has spent so much time rehearsing. Like a child clinging to a favorite toy, the narcissist feels deep frustration and rage when someone escapes his manipulation. The loss of that control represents a direct threat to his fragile ego and the image he has built of himself, and can provoke very strong reactions on the part of the narcissist. Let's break this down so we can spot these tricks before they drag us back into their twisted little games. One of the first things they will try to do when they lose control is to blame you. Narcissists are masters at avoiding responsibility. Nothing is their fault. 1. Increased manipulation. Increased manipulation is a defensive reaction by the narcissist to a perceived loss of control. It is a way to hold on to power, avoid emotional pain, and keep their victim submissive. Manipulation becomes a habit for narcissists. It is their normal way of relating to others and getting what they want. When they feel like they are losing control, they fall back on what they know and what has worked for them in the past. Narcissists feed off the attention, admiration, and validation they get from others. When they feel they are losing this narcissistic supply, they experience deep insecurity and fear of abandonment. You are likely to feel deeply hurt when you realize the true nature of the relationship. However, the story doesn't end there. Narcissists are masters of manipulation, and when they sense your intent to push you away, they may escalate their control tactics. It's as if, when they feel like they've lost their prey, they increase the pressure to keep you trapped in their web of toxicity. They might try to repeat the same formula of intense and overwhelming love bombing that captivated you in the beginning, but this time with a different goal: to manipulate and control you. It's like they're playing a role, pretending to have feelings they no longer have, with the intention of making you feel special and thus gaining power over you. This repetition of the idealization and devaluation cycle is a common feature of abusive relationships and can be very confusing and damaging to your emotional well-being. The sudden rush of love you're receiving can create confusion and make you doubt your instincts. This person is painting an idealized picture of the relationship, making you feel special and unique. However, it's important to be cautious and not let this intensity blind you to potential signs of manipulation. You may be tempted to patch things up and make the relationship work. But remember, getting back together with a narcissist can be a big mistake. I understand that the idea of reconciling and saving the relationship may be very attractive. However, it is essential that you think deeply about the consequences of getting back together with someone who exhibits narcissistic traits. These types of relationships are often toxic and damaging to your emotional well-being. You are likely to experience cycles of manipulation, devaluation, and lack of reciprocity again. They will bombard you with empty promises, blame you for everything that goes wrong, and appeal to your feelings of guilt and pity. Their goal is clear: to drain you emotionally until you are completely exhausted and dependent on them. Increased manipulation is their way of trying to regain that control and keep their victim close. Narcissists have an inflated self-image and believe they are superior to others. When they feel their control is weakening, it is as if their own greatness is questioned. By increasing manipulation, they seek to reaffirm their superiority and demonstrate to their victim and themselves that they still have the power. If they feel like they are losing control, they may interpret this as a sign that they are being rejected or that they have failed in their attempt to dominate another person. To avoid these painful feelings, they intensify their manipulation tactics. Manipulation becomes a habit for narcissists. It is their normal way of relating to others and getting what they want. When they feel like they are losing control, they fall back on what they know and what has worked for them in the past. 2. Outbursts of anger and aggression. Clinical psychologist and relationship expert Dr. Driti Bhavsar explains, most often, anger is what works. When a narcissist feels that he or she is losing control over a situation or a person, it is common for him or her to react with anger and frustration. His need for dominance and superiority can lead him to employ a number of manipulative tactics to keep you under his influence. These may include blaming you for their problems, gaslighting, or even resorting to more aggressive tactics, such as threats or insults. Narcissists will deliberately say or do things that will make you angry in order to provoke a reaction from you or get you to talk. For example, they may approach your friends and bother them in an effort to get to you, or say things to you that might provoke you. They may also harass you, make you feel scared or guilty. Another tactic of the narcissist is to falsely accuse you of something. The narcissist will use hurtful words to undermine your self-esteem and make you feel inferior. He may threaten to hurt you, either emotionally or physically, to keep you under control. In extreme cases, loss of control can trigger episodes of physical violence. It is true that not all narcissists are violent, but those who are can make their victims feel very insecure, making it difficult for them to trust others and be around other people. A victim may not be able to overcome their fear that their attacker will come back to hurt them. These tactics can be extremely damaging and lead to feelings of confusion, guilt, and anxiety. It is crucial to understand that these reactions are not your fault and that you deserve to feel safe and respected in all of your relationships. It is important to remember that these reactions are a product of their disorder and are not a reflection of your worth as a person. 3. Withdrawal and silence. When a narcissist feels that he is losing control or that his victim is becoming independent, one of his most common tactics is withdrawal and silence. This maneuver, often referred to as the silent treatment, is a double-edged sword designed to emotionally manipulate its victim and restore the balance of power in its favor. He may stop communicating with you as a form of punishment or to make you feel insignificant. By withdrawing, the narcissist seeks to plant doubt in the mind of his victim. What did I do wrong? Why does he not love me anymore? These questions create anxiety and confusion. He will avoid any kind of interaction with you and act like you don't matter to him and that your absence doesn't affect him. Silence is a form of punishment for the victim, who may interpret this lack of communication as rejection or indifference. By denying attention to his victim, the narcissist seeks to regain control of the situation and force the victim to beg for his attention. Why is this tactic so effective? Victims of narcissists often develop a strong emotional dependence on their partner, making withdrawal even more painful. The fear of losing the loved one can lead the victim to do anything to regain the narcissist's attention. In addition, the emotional instability of the relationship and the lack of clear communication can leave the victim feeling confused and disoriented. 4. Grief and supplication. Narcissists are masters of manipulation. They may try to elicit your sympathy by showing vulnerability, pretending to be hurt or remorseful. After hurting or devaluing you, they may try to win you back by appearing remorseful and vulnerable. However, this change in attitude is temporary, and once they have won you back, they are likely to return to their abusive behaviors. They may portray themselves as victims in order to gain your sympathy and get what they want. They will make promises they know they won't keep in order to get you back. They will put you on a pedestal and then devalue you again. It is important to remember that these displays of weakness are mostly an act to manipulate your emotions and keep you on their side. Although narcissists may appear deeply affected or remorseful, their emotions are often shallow and inauthentic. Their main goal is not to connect with you in a genuine way, but to control the situation and make sure you remain a source of admiration and attention. By showing vulnerability, they are looking for you to care for them and forgive them without taking any responsibility for their actions. 5. Look for new supplies of narcissism. Unable to control you, the narcissist will seek to expand his social circle in search of new victims. These people become targets for manipulation and control, thus satisfying their constant need to be the center of attention. By investing more time and energy in those who flatter him and put him on a pedestal, the narcissist ensures a continuous supply of inflated ego. As the narcissist seeks new sources of supply, he or she may neglect or even abandon existing relationships. Investing time and energy into new people reflects your inability to form authentic, lasting connections. This dynamic can lead to feelings of abandonment and confusion in those in your close circle. It is important to remember that these are just some of the possible reactions of a narcissist. Every person is different, and the way they react can vary. We know that narcissists are skilled manipulators, and their tactics can be really effective, especially if you've been caught in their web for a long time. But awareness is the first step to breaking free. When you know what to look for, you can begin to recognize the patterns and refuse to play their games, and the more you resist, the weaker their hold becomes. They could try every trick in the book, but once you've regained your power, there's nothing they can do to control you anymore, and that's the real key here, getting your power back. Narcissists thrive on control, but that control only works if we allow it. When we start setting boundaries by trusting our instincts and refusing to engage with their manipulative tactics, we are reclaiming our power and taking theirs away. Remember, for a narcissist, losing control over you is like losing a battle. And just like an addicted gambler, they will look for any way to get back into the game. By standing firm in your decision to set boundaries and prioritize your well-being, you will be sending a clear message. You will no longer tolerate their toxic behavior. Ending a relationship with a narcissist, no matter how obvious the need, is a complex and emotionally draining process. Even when toxicity is palpable, emotional ties, shared history, or simply fear of the unknown can make this decision difficult. Narcissists often manipulate their partner's emotions, creating an emotional dependency that makes it difficult to break up. It is important to remember that seeking professional support can be of great help. Recognizing your own worth is the crucial first step to freeing yourself from a toxic relationship with a narcissist. Before the emotional damage becomes irreparable, it is critical to realize that you deserve a healthy and respectful connection. Breaking up with a narcissist can be difficult, but it is a brave decision that will allow you to regain your self-esteem and build a happier, more authentic future. It is essential to recognize that narcissistic control can be extremely damaging to our mental health. If you find yourself in a situation where someone else's behavior is deeply and consistently affecting you, it's important to prioritize your emotional well-being. Sometimes the only way to protect ourselves from the negative effects of narcissism is to make the difficult decision to cut ties with that person. Breaking up with someone can be painful, but it's essential to remember that your mental health is what matters most. By removing yourself from a toxic situation, you're giving yourself the opportunity to heal and build healthier relationships in the future. If you find yourself in a relationship with a narcissist, it is essential to seek professional help. A therapist can provide you with the tools and support you need to get out of this situation and rebuild your life. There is no point in dragging things out that may never work out. This is the golden rule of a relationship. So, let self-love take over and focus on your healing process. Believe in yourself and take the step. We have reached the end of our meeting today. We hope we have been able to help you with a clear idea of what narcissistic control looks like in a relationship. We also hope that you are no longer wondering, how does a narcissist react when he can't control you? With this information we have given you, you will be able to see the signs more clearly. When a narcissist knows he is losing control, he feels cheated, and you and the relationship will be the recipients of all his frustration and anger. Tell us about your experiences and give us your advice for dealing with these individuals. How have you dealt with narcissists? Thanks for joining me. If this topic has captivated you, help us continue creating quality content by leaving a like and subscribing. Are you ready to discover what makes us unique and complex? In the next videos, we will continue to delve into the most surprising and dark aspects of human behavior.